Before we begin, if you truly want to unlock the mysteries of your own mind and discover psychological truths that could transform your entire perspective, subscribe now and turn on notifications. What you're about to learn about yourself may be the key you've been searching for all along. There are moments when a simple choice becomes a doorway into the deepest chambers of your psyche. Not because the choice itself is profound, but because it bypasses every defense mechanism your conscious mind has constructed. Right now, you stand before such a moment. In front of you are 4 keys. They are not ordinary objects. Each one is forged from a different essence, carries a different frequency, and unlocks a different dimension of psychological truth. Before your mind begins to analyze which key is most valuable or beautiful, stop. Simply observe. Allow your awareness to settle on one of them naturally, without force, without reason. This is essential. Do not think. The moment rationalization begins, you move away from the intuitive knowing that this test is designed to access. Carl Jung spent his lifetime studying how the unconscious mind communicates through symbols that transcend culture and time. He called these universal symbols archetypes, patterns of meaning that exist in the collective unconscious. Long before you learned to explain yourself in words, your psyche already understood the language of gold, silver, iron, and crystal. Each material carries symbolic weight that speaks directly to your unconscious. This test works precisely because it circumvents your thinking mind and touches the symbolic, archetypal layer of consciousness where truth resides beyond words. As you look at these keys, you may feel drawn, resistant, curious, or even emotional. Trust every reaction. Resistance carries as much meaning as attraction. Sometimes we are called not to what feels safe, but to what our soul needs us to see. Once you have chosen, hold that key in your mind's eye. Each key represents not just what you unlock in the external world, but what you are ready to unlock within yourself. None of these keys is better or worse than the others. They simply reveal different psychological gateways, different aspects of your inner architecture asking for conscious attention. Jung believed that the journey to psychological wholeness, which he called individuation, requires us to make conscious what has been unconscious. The key you choose shows which door you are standing before right now. You may recognize yourself immediately in what follows, or you may feel uncomfortable. Both responses are valid. Self-knowledge does not always feel good, but it always serves growth. Now let us see what you are ready to unlock. The Golden Key, unlocking your divine purpose. If you chose the Golden Key, you move through life guided by a sense of destiny. This key represents divine purpose, the search for meaning that transcends survival, and the psychological need to believe that your existence matters in ways larger than the personal. Gold has been sacred across every culture, not because of its monetary value, but because it symbolizes the incorruptible, the eternal, the divine spark within mortal form. People drawn to the Golden Key carry a deep belief that they are meant for something significant. You cannot settle for a life of mere comfort or convention. Even when you achieve external success, if it feels meaningless, you experience it as failure. You need to know that what you do matters, that your presence creates impact, that your life is building towards something worthy of the struggle. This is not ego. It is a soul-level hunger for purpose that refuses to be silenced by practical concerns or social expectations. From a Jungian perspective, the Golden Key connects to what Jung called the self, the archetype of wholeness, the ultimate goal of individuation. The self is not your ego personality. It is the totality of who you are, the integration of conscious and unconscious, light and shadow, human and divine. Those who resonate with the Golden Key are being called toward this profound work of becoming whole. You sense there is more to you than what you currently express, and you are willing to sacrifice security, comfort, even relationships to discover what that more actually is. Your strength lies in your refusal to settle. When others accept mediocrity, you push forward. When others give up on dreams, you continue believing. You would rather struggle with purpose than succeed without it. This makes you inspiring to some and threatening to others. Your commitment to meaning challenges those who have resigned themselves to meaninglessness. However, the golden key carries a profound shadow. The search for divine purpose can become a spiritual prison. You may reject everything that feels ordinary, believing that only grand achievements are worthy of your attention. This creates a painful paradox where you are always reaching for something just beyond your grasp, never allowing yourself to simply be where you are. You may struggle with perfectionism, believing that anything less than greatness is failure. Another danger is spiritual bypassing. The golden key can seduce you into focusing exclusively on the transcendent while avoiding the messy work of dealing with your actual life. You may become so focused on your higher purpose that you neglect your present circumstances, telling yourself that mundane concerns are beneath your calling. But Jung was clear. The path to the divine runs directly through the human. You cannot transcend what you have not integrated. There is also the risk of isolation. When you are driven by purpose that others cannot understand, you may feel profoundly alone. People may admire you but not truly connect with you. The golden key asks you to examine this. Are you using your sense of purpose to connect with others or to separate yourself from them? Ask yourself, what am I unlocking with this golden key? Is it genuine purpose, or is it an escape from the ordinary difficulties of being human? Your divine purpose is not something you discover in some idealized future. It is something you create through how you show up in each moment, how you treat the people in front of you, how you honor both your aspirations and your limitations. Yet not all keys shine with such obvious radiance. Some carry a different light, one that reflects rather than radiates. To understand that wisdom, we now turn to the second key, the silver key, unlocking your intuitive knowing. If the silver key called to you, you possess a rare gift that most people have forgotten how to access. This key represents intuition, lunar wisdom, the capacity to perceive what is hidden beneath surface appearances. Silver is the metal of the moon, associated across cultures with receptivity, reflection, and the mysterious knowledge that arrives not through logic, but through inner sensing. People drawn to the silver key often know things they cannot explain, feel truths they cannot prove, and navigate reality through channels of awareness that others dismiss as irrational. You have learned to trust your gut, even when doing so makes no logical sense. You pick up on energy, intention, and unspoken dynamics that others miss entirely. You might walk into a room and immediately sense tension that everyone else is pretending does not exist. You might meet someone and know instantly whether they are trustworthy, regardless of what they say. This is not paranoia. It is attunement to subtle information that exists below the threshold of ordinary consciousness. From a Jungian perspective, the silver key connects to the function of intuition, one of the 4 primary ways humans process information. While sensation focuses on concrete facts and thinking on logical analysis, intuition perceives possibilities, patterns, and connections that are not yet visible. Those who resonate with the silver key live oriented toward what could be, what is emerging, what lies hidden in the present moment. Your strength lies in your ability to see what others cannot. You navigate uncertainty with grace because you trust your inner guidance more than external maps. Where others need proof before they believe, you believe first and find the proof later. This makes you invaluable in situations requiring innovation, insight, or the ability to sense danger before it becomes obvious. However, the silver key carries a shadow. Intuition without grounding can become fantasy. When you live too much in the realm of possibility, you may lose touch with practical reality. You may see what could be so clearly that you neglect what is. This can manifest as difficulty with follow-through, with the mundane details that actually make visions real. Another challenge is that your gift can be lonely. When you perceive truths that others cannot see, you may feel misunderstood, even gaslit. People may tell you that you are reading too much into things, that you should trust logic over feeling. Over time, this can cause you to doubt your own knowing. But when you betray your intuitive gifts, you betray your essential nature. There is also the danger of becoming ungrounded. The silver key connects you to invisible realms, to the unconscious, to energies that exist beyond the material world. Without roots in the physical world, without practices that anchor you in your body, you can become lost in abstraction, overwhelmed by subtle information, unable to distinguish between genuine intuition and anxiety. Ask yourself, what am I unlocking with this silver key? Am I honoring my intuitive knowing, or am I using it to avoid facing concrete reality? The silver key is asking you to ground your intuition in embodied presence, to be both sensitive to invisible truths and capable of functioning effectively in the visible world. Yet there is another kind of key, one that opens doors not through spiritual elevation or intuitive sensing, but through the willingness to face what others fear. To understand that path, we now turn to the third key. The Iron Key. Unlocking your warrior spirit. If the Iron Key is the one you chose, you carry within you the archetype of the warrior. This key represents courage, discipline, the willingness to face what is difficult, and the psychological capacity to endure hardship in service of what you value. Iron is the metal of warriors, of boundaries, of the will that refuses to break under pressure. People drawn to the Iron Key understand that growth requires struggle, that strength is forged through challenge, and that avoiding discomfort is a form of weakness. You do not run from difficulty. When others retreat, you advance. When others make excuses, you take responsibility. When others wait for circumstances to improve, you change yourself. You understand that complaining is useless, that life does not owe you comfort, and that the only way through hardship is directly through it. You have faced challenges that taught you that survival requires strength. From a Jungian perspective, the Iron Key connects to the warrior archetype and the ego's capacity to set boundaries, defend psychological territory, and maintain discipline in the face of chaos. Those who resonate with the Iron Key have developed a robust ego structure. You know who you are. You know what you stand for. You do not change your values based on social pressure or emotional convenience. Your strength lies in your integrity. You do what you say you will do. You keep your commitments. You do not collapse when things get hard. This makes you trustworthy, reliable, and deeply respected by those who value substance over performance. You are the person others call when they need someone who will show up and tell the truth. However, the Iron Key carries a shadow. Discipline can become rigidity. Boundaries can become walls. The warrior spirit can become so focused on strength that it loses touch with vulnerability, with the parts of being human that require receptivity rather than force. You may pride yourself on not needing anyone, on being self-sufficient. But this can become a prison where you are cut off from the very connections that make life meaningful. Another danger is that you may confuse endurance with wisdom. Just because you can withstand something does not mean you should. The Iron Key can keep you locked in situations that are destroying you slowly simply because leaving feels like weakness. You may tell yourself that only the weak quit. But sometimes, the strongest choice is walking away. There is also the risk of becoming hard. When you armor yourself against pain, you also armor yourself against joy. When you refuse to be vulnerable, you cut yourself off from intimacy. The iron key asks you to examine this. Has your strength become a burden? Ask yourself, what am I unlocking with this iron key? Am I opening doors to genuine growth, or am I simply forcing my way through life? The iron key is asking you to recognize that true strength includes knowing when to fight and when to surrender, when to hold firm and when to let go. And yet there is one final key, one that contains within it all the others. To complete this journey, we now turn to the fourth key, the crystal key, unlocking your multidimensional self. If the crystal key is the one you chose, you perceive reality as layered, complex, and ultimately mysterious. This key represents clarity, transformation, the capacity to hold paradox, and the psychological awareness that truth is not singular but multifaceted. Crystal is both solid and transparent, strong yet fragile, ancient yet timeless. It refracts light into infinite colors while remaining clear itself. People drawn to the crystal key experience life as simultaneously beautiful and painful, meaningful and absurd, sacred and ordinary. You resist simple answers. When others present binary choices, you see a third option, a fourth, a fifth. When others insist that something is either good or bad, you recognize that it is usually both. You hold complexity that others find uncomfortable. You can love someone and set boundaries with them. You can grieve and feel grateful simultaneously. This capacity for paradox is not confusion. It is sophistication. From a Jungian perspective, the crystal key connects to the process of individuation itself, the ongoing journey of becoming whole by integrating opposites. Jung believed that psychological maturity requires holding the tension between light and shadow without collapsing into one pole or the other. Those who resonate with the crystal key are actively engaged in this work. You are learning to be many things at once without fragmenting. Your strength lies in your ability to transform. Like crystal forming under pressure, you have learned to take difficulty and allow it to clarify you rather than destroy you. You do not avoid your shadow. You understand that wholeness includes everything, that true clarity comes not from eliminating darkness but from seeing through it. However, the crystal key carries a shadow. The capacity to see all sides can become paralysis. When you perceive infinite possibilities, making a single choice becomes overwhelming. You may struggle with commitment, with decisive action, with saying yes to one path which means saying no to all others. Another challenge is that your clarity can isolate you. When you see through illusions that others still believe in, you may feel unable to participate in the collective narratives that bind communities together. This creates a painful choice between authenticity and connection. There is also the danger of becoming too transparent, of losing the necessary boundaries that define self. The crystal key can make you so open that you lose touch with your own truth. You may become a mirror, reflecting everyone else while forgetting yourself. Ask yourself, what am I unlocking with this crystal key? Am I using my clarity to engage more fully with life, or to remain safely observing from a distance? The crystal key is asking you to recognize that seeing multiple truths is different from living your truth, that at some point you must choose, act, commit. Integration. When all four keys open one door. Your choice of key was recognition. Each key represents a different relationship with consciousness itself, but you do not have just one key. You have access to all four. The key you chose simply shows which one you are currently holding. Carl Jung's greatest insight was that wholeness comes not from choosing one function and perfecting it, but from developing all functions and learning when to use each one. The golden key unlocks purpose, but purpose without intuition becomes rigid ideology. The silver key unlocks knowing, but knowing without discipline becomes ungrounded fantasy. The iron key unlocks strength, but strength without clarity becomes blind force. The crystal key unlocks perspective, but perspective without purpose becomes paralysis. If you chose the golden key, your invitation is to ground your purpose in practical reality. If you chose the silver key, your invitation is to trust your intuition while developing discipline to act on it. If you chose the iron key, your invitation is to maintain your strength while learning when to be vulnerable. If you chose the crystal key, your invitation is to transform your insights into committed action. The door you truly need to unlock is not outside you. It is the door between your conscious self and the vast unconscious potential that waits within. Behind that door is the capacity to access different forms of wisdom depending on what life requires. As you move forward, notice which key you reach for automatically, and ask yourself if another key might serve you better. You are not one key. You are the one who chooses which key to use. If this reflection opened something in you, share which key you chose in the comments. The journey is not about finding the right key. It is about becoming someone who knows which door they are standing before and whether they are truly ready to walk through.